Morning, church. Thank you for joining us for our daily Devo. Today we're in Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. Remember, we're starting the book of Matthew. We're looking at the birth of Christ. And if you look at the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, only Matthew and Luke address the birth of Christ. Luke, because he did research and he wanted to lay out everything systematically. And Matthew, because he wants to make sure that there's that connection to Jesus being the descendant of David and being that Messiah. And so you almost have to put them side by side to see all the events. For instance, at Luke, we see the birth of Christ at the moment of his birth, him in the manger. We see the wise men coming. But Matthew comes later in its account, what we're looking at today. And if you have a manger scene, the manger scene, we always have, Jesus and Mary and Joseph, and we have the animals and we have the shepherds, which is great, but then we have the wise men. And as we're going to see today, the wise men aren't there at the birth of Christ. A matter of fact, when the wise men come, it says they go to a house. See, it's not a barn, it's a house. And we look at Herod when he inquired when they first saw the star. And then when they leave, he takes out the kids that are 2 years and younger. So there's like a 2-year window. So a lot of theologians think that Jesus would have been born about 2 years before then. Less is known about the wise men than we do know. We know there are 3 men of position. We know they obviously study the stars. We know they are reading something that showed them that this star that they saw was a precursor to the king of the Jews. And they come to Herod. And of course, Herod is really messed up by this. He's not even a descendant of David. He's the descendant of Esau. And he was kind of rejected by the Jews. They only followed him by the point of the sword because the Romans backed him. They didn't want to follow him. But they come to Christ and they see him and they give him these incredible gifts that will be used to allow Joseph and his family to safely go to Egypt and stay there until Herod dies. But when I look at the passage, to me, what's important is it really reminds us that the gospel is for the world. Remember, it's very easy to think because Christ was a Jew, his whole ministry was pretty much to Jews, all his disciples were Jews. In Acts, we see that even the disciples were wondering, could you be a Christian without being a Jew? I think this is a reminder that when God first went to Abraham and made a covenant, he said you would be blessing to all nations. And to me, this is that picture of someone or some men from another nation coming to seek out God. And we'll see that in Christ's ministry where, Gentiles will come, Roman officers will come seeking out Christ. And then in Acts, we see the gospel grows and it actually explodes to the Gentiles. So remember, the gospel may have come through the Jews and Christ was a Jew, but understand this good news, the salvation, it's for the world. And we want to make sure that we understand that the word needs to go out, that we aren't to make what we know a secret, that church isn't to be, hey, it's a come and see, but it really is a go and tell. And that's our challenge, that who are the people in our life that we can connect to, that we can be that witness, we can be that person that lets them know there's a God that loves them. Thank you so much for joining us on our daily Devo. I hope you continue, and I hope you have a blessed day.